Hello, everyone. This is Stephen Jiang, and welcome to the podcast New Era, New TA. Today, we are very honored to welcome our friend Jim Durbin and to have this conversation with us. Jim, welcome. I like it, and people know you, and you have several very great titles, including the one people say the indie whisperer. Okay, so you definitely know a lot of things about job boarding and also the social recruiting and campaigns and sourcing and many things. So, and today we are looking into those topics. I want you to have a very brief introduction about yourself.
Well, I'm a Texan. I think everybody should know that, in case it's not obvious. I started off in IT staffing back in 1999. And then from then, I've done IT staffing and then sales. Crazily moved into social media, ran a marketing firm, then turned into social media headhunting. So before the Indeed Whisperer was the social media headhunter. And then I got into TA and RPO and recruitment marketing. So to me, it's the same thing. I build a list and I call a list. It's just helpful. I've been doing this for 25 years. You know the technology, you know how it's done, and you remember the important part, which is that no one gets paid until someone goes to work. And I think that's something a lot of people are missing. We have cut recruiting into so many different kinds of, oh, I'm just a sourcer, or I'm just an internal headhunter, I'm just an RPO. And then I realized we have a lot of similarities, but we're all connected too. There's something that has to be done, which is the person taking the job, not did I hit my KPIs? And I think that's the big challenge we have today, is kind of forgetting our roots.
You had been so successful in a social-based recruiting, and that was new about 20 years, 15 years ago. Today, and there's a new wave of technology, and it's AI. So in an AI-based recruiting, and any initiatives and any exciting things you have been doing?
Yeah, I have a friend who's built an AIOS, which is important because, I see the way people are utilizing AI, and I'm concerned, not because of the technology, which is great, not because of what you can learn, which is fantastic, but management has no clue what's coming. And we've been talking about putting the human into human resources since we created the term. But the challenge is they're looking at AI as a way to cut cost. What they don't realize is it fundamentally reorders your entire business. But there's still places for humans to be involved. The problem is we forgot that. We turned sourcers and recruiters into machines, and now you're able to go through and say, oh, I can wipe out 65% of what this recruiter is doing, which means to the CFO, I can cut 65% of my staff. Well, you can't. It's because recruiting is a conversation, and people don't get that. So if I say, I'm going to hire a cashier at Target, should be easy. You talk to any executive, they're like, oh, that's an easy job description. That's an easy thing. Anybody can do that job. They just have to be trained. Have you ever had a bad experience with a cashier at Target?
They are almost invisible, right? And very transactional.
But you've had a bad experience with somebody.
Yes.
Have you had a good one?
I also have a good one. Yeah.
So how would you write a job description that explain the difference between good and bad without getting really sappy? Like good customer service skills, sure. But what does that mean? It's really hard for us to explain that. AI can't do it because it happens to be a conversation.
And it's a lot of emotional value into that, right? So for example, the good cashier, and they will look at you when they possess.
It's all like that. Do they look at you? Do you need to look at them? So there's actually a lot that goes into something like that.
Yeah.
And when we write the job description, those are the easy job descriptions. When you try to talk about project management or BAs or CFOs, it's much different. And we forget that's what a conversation is. I was talking to a guy the other day. He's a developer, so of course he was complaining. He said that so someone sent a note to me, gets 20 of these today. And they said, here's the description, here's the job stuff. It was good, he responded. And she says, can you send me your resume? And so he sends her a link to his resume because he's really tired of doing all the formatting. So we created a whole site that has the resume. And she goes, can you send it? And he calls me and goes, does she not know how to do file save to PDF from Chrome? I'm like, that's not it. What she's really saying is, are you a difficult hire, or are you an easy one? It's a compliance thing to kind of figure out, if you can't do this small thing, maybe you shouldn't be working with this kind of company. Again, there's no way for AI currently to understand that. But that's what we think recruiting is here's a series of check boxes. And so what's happened, candidates have learned to use AI. Now we're flooded. We don't know what to do. And we ate our seed corn so long ago. We don't manage recruiters anymore. We just track their KPIs, and then we're shocked when we don't get the results. I think that's the big challenge. It's not putting human back in. It's what is recruiting? What is an interview? It's not a series of checkboxes. Because if that's the case, AI talks to AI and you just show up and go to work. We're finding out that doesn't work. My brother actually did that, where he applied to a job, never talked to anybody, got hired at Walmart. They just told him to show up Monday at 3. Well, he was very clear. He works from 7:30 to 3:30. He was picking up a side job for the holidays. He's not leaving his regular job, where he's a claim adjuster, to go work. He never talked to anybody, so he ghosted them. If you don't talk to someone like that and you're just checking it off on the box, I know that we can code that, but you still got the managers like, I need you available whenever you're available. So we've lost that part of the conversation. Then we blame AI for not working. At the same time, we're expecting to cut 60%. So I think it's a management problem. We've forgotten how business gets done, and instead of using AI correctly.
Also, this is a multi-factor issue. Today in a boardroom, I don't think there will be many CHROs or CPOs, and they are able to defend their department very well in front of a CFO and COO, CEO, to be honest.
If you grew up in HR and TA, which itself is still pretty young, sourcing and TA are both less than 20 years old. You're good at hiring, you're good at recruiting, you're good at interviewing, you're good at getting things through the system if you're internal, like getting hired through the check boxes and making sure you're dealing with managers. You didn't learn to speak finance. You didn't learn to speak tech. You didn't learn to speak marketing. So now when you're talking to someone, you're sharing a story, you're not speaking their language. I've seen, the one always tells, there was a VP standing on stage talking about referrals. Referrals are great. They're cheaper, they're faster, there's higher customer satisfaction. They even smell better than all these other people that are coming through. So what we need to do is focus on our referrals. And the problem is that if you say that to a CFO, what you just told them was, the hazy memory of my line managers is a better function than your entire TA budget. You just said you don't matter. When you could have said referrals are great. There are low-hanging fruit though. And so the hard part is like a squeeze bottle. We go for those, we maximize those, but then we do the hard work of finding people we don't know. It's the same story, but one of them's speaking the language of finance and data, and the other one is looking at our navel and going, oh, we love referrals because they're easy. And so those type of things are really hurting us.
From the very positive side, and I'm seeing one thing very exciting. Because of the AI, it's a great opportunity, great timing for the very innovative and also creative TA leaders to rethink what is work. And we cannot treat the job as the traditional job anymore, because the fundamentals of job are changed. Isn't that so exciting for us?
I wrote a piece about this, about the difference between recruiting and hiring. And hiring, the problem is now we've added all these artificial things into it, but recruiting is much different. And he's talking to a recruiter who's using AI, and the recruiter knows what's going on, likes this person, is having a good conversation, but they're required by their boss, by their idiot boss. I'm going to say that, they're idiots, to put the resume through a custom GPT to get a score. They drop this candidate's resume in, it does not get the correct score. So like, can you just it asked for something that didn't exist. 5 years of an LLM tool that's not around anymore. I was like, have you used Selenium? No, it wasn't around. And who would have that other than the person who created it? Now, because it's an AI, the executives are convinced that they should use it. So the recruiter's like, can you just put this into your resume and we'll run it through? I'm like, oh my God, that is horrific. That's what a big company thinks should be done. It's not just big companies, because it's a one division. Like, big companies aren't big companies. They're made up of lots of little companies. So you can't say, like, people complain about Indeed, but Indeed's like 7 different divisions doing different things. Some different people complain about the government or an agency or something like that. But a small company can use that really well because they have instant feedback and they don't have anybody telling them what to do. So then they'll go through and then they'll go talk to it, or they can record it like on an OMI, or using your meta glasses or different recording, and say, what could I have done differently? What what persuasion techniques were I using? How do I get better at this? And then instantly change it. And then the very next interview, they could do better. And that's what's so crazy. If you ask me to find something, I need to go find engineer. I got to find generators. They got to be certain watts. And I don't know anything about those. I can take pictures, walk it through, have it coach me. And in 20 minutes, I'm speaking like an expert on that topic. When have we ever had that? That's incredible. You can actually be a domain expert, at least enough to ask the questions. So you sound like someone you need to learn a conversation. How's that not the most exciting? That makes Google like it was a joke to use that. But if you're using it to score a resume, I mean, of course you're going to hate it. It's just making your job more difficult. So I think the small and mid-sized people are going to grow pretty fast because they're going to be so good at what they do, and they can pivot and they can move, and they could pick one thing. It doesn't take 3 months to get good.
Based on what you just said, the gap between what technologies can do and versus what the deployments make the technology do. Okay, and that's a huge gap. And the right deployment and the right implementation of the AI technologies in those business processes, including recruiting process, it's a very valuable. And unfortunately, now there's no practical playbook for the big enterprise for them to adopt, and they hired the very expensive consultant firms help them to do the strategy and also deployment. And so far, I haven't heard about any large scale success yet. I think that's a great opportunity for everybody. As you said, I think this brings more opportunities for the medium size and small size of business to be more creative, and by moving faster. We are seeing this excitement every day. We are not big, so we are able to pivot and try what's possible, and then quickly make the innovations and make things happen.
I completely agree. In fact, that's the whole idea of the forward deployed engineer that they're utilizing. I don't remember. I was just on an AI call earlier today with a bunch of product leaders, and I forget the name of the company, but a services company just got a 10x valuation and the billions of dollars. For those who don't work, VCs, they don't touch service companies. They hate service companies because it's expensive. The people, they want software that scales up to 100x. So either it's really frothy out there, or they're realizing, hey, the real value of it is if we get people to start using our tech, which has always been the case with software. I always go off of something called Gall's Law, which is every complex system is formed from smaller successful systems. So you can't just put something on top of any large complex enterprise and have it work. You've got to get people to actually see its success, and then they grow on it. So I've trained some 10,000 people to use tools like HireEZ and Facebook and things like that. And what's crazy about it is when you first train people, we've realized that you could say something different. You walk into a furniture store and you say, what are you looking for? Immediately your shields are up. I don't want to talk about this, right? But there's a single sentence you could say that boosts same store sales year over year. The single sentence, it's just the way that you start it. And what it is, hey, what room are you shopping for? That's it. That's the genius. That's all you have to say. Go tell a senior salesperson that's been around for years that's all you have to do. They're like, listen, kid, I've been selling for a long time. This is 20 years ago, so I was a kid at the time. I don't need this. So you can't tell the top people that. You can't tell the best recruiters how to change what they're doing. So instead, you get either the worst recruiters or somebody who's struggling. You train them. They're eager to get an advantage. So you teach them the exact same thing. You have to trick everybody and go, here's a really expensive sales process. I can't give it to everybody. I'm going to give it to these 3 people. They start doing better. Their numbers exceed the old salespeople who are crushing it. Now everybody wants it. You have to trick people into doing that training. And what it is they don't believe you. Why would they? When have you ever sat down and 30 minutes later, now your whole life changes? Like, that's not how habits take weeks of calculation. So if you sit down and train someone and someone else sees the results, now they're like, oh my God, I don't want to be left behind.
The peer pressure.
So we don't think about those things. We still want to just sit, do a lunch and learn of some kind because everybody's too busy. It's what we've heard recruiters say our entire life is, this is great. I'm too busy to actually do something new. And that people, when under stress, revert back to their lowest level of training. What if we took all these savings from AI and instead of telling the CFO, we're cutting 40%, we can fire staff, we said what you'll always tell a big company. Hey, you know what? We get a 1 or 2% improvement every month from doing this. And you are saving 40% of time from something you shouldn't have been doing, but you give them 38% of that time back to practicing getting better. And then you start to see those gains. So instead of saying it's 40% faster, you can cut cost. Hey, we can solve this problem. We can solve this outcome. We can give you this result better. And then your team is actually totally changing the way they do business, not by firing 40% of them, but by doing a better job each week than they did the week before. That's how good training works. That's how every successful training in the world works. That's how every system grows. We just have to think like that and quit saying, I can give you 300% better output. I can cut your costs 40%. Why do you want to cut your costs in the first place? But how do you get that success? And then everybody wants to copy that because now they're like, I don't want to be left behind, versus this one thing will solve all your problems. It's the easy button versus the hard work.
The future of talent acquisition isn't coming. It's already here.
See for yourself at HireEasy.com.